Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm of course your host, Droodles, Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about an Update 8.9 overview. Everything you're going to need to know about the VK72 and the camouflages, everything being added to the game, will be in today's video. So as always, if you learned something, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But without further ado, let's get straight into it and what the title of today's video says about collectors being nerfed. Now, as we all know, collectors have not been nerfed since they have been brought into the game. But that doesn't mean they can't be. For people that might get mad or a little bit sensitive that their beloved Smasher could possibly be nerfed if you spent a lot of money on it, well, in the in-game files and EULA, as I talked about when collectors were originally brought into the game about maybe 2 years ago, there was a passage I quoted that says collectors can be statistically changed depending on how they are performing, meaning that collectors are just like any other tech tree vehicle and can be nerfed. Honestly, people should be happy Wargaming hasn't grown a pair and already nerfed tanks like the Smasher. But it seems like they are doing a little bit of tweaks to the Predator UM and the Gravedigger, as the Predator is losing a bit of top speed going from 32 to 29, and the Gravedigger is losing a bit of traverse speed. It's nothing that's really going to make the vehicles any different because they're getting a bit better dispersion as well, but I thought it would be notable to talk about collectors actually being nerfed in the game because I wonder in the future if they're planning on nerfing more. I'm 50-50. I really do hope they do nerf the Smasher. People that don't think it should be nerfed just because you spent money on a tank does not mean that it should be broken. Either way, that is the collectors done with. Other changes in the game, there's a couple vehicles getting more hit points like the SU-100M1. T-28 is actually getting a pretty beefy chunk, 1150 to 1450. I don't personally think it's going to make the tank a whole lot better, but I do think it'll make it a little bit more enjoyable, and you might be able to squeeze one more shell out from before where you would be killed when receiving that last shell. The M41 Bulldog's getting an extra 100 hit points and 5 more millimeters of standard pen and 10 on the heat. That's actually nice. The heat pen, especially if you're like me and you're probably going to run Cali or maybe Rammer, it's going to be nice to get an extra bit of heat pen upon what you already have, so that's really good. T25AT is getting an extra 100 hit points, T25-2 is getting better dispersion, so there's a couple changes here and there, but nothing overall that is really huge. When we take a look at the Bashation, you'll see the armor, it gets a little bit more yellow. In Update 8.8, which we're currently sitting at, the lower plate's 38 millimeters, the upper plate's 72, and the turret's about 34 to 45. If we take a look at the vehicle at Update 8.9, the lower plate is 74, the upper plate's 140, and the turret's around 89 to 90s. So the good news is that the turret will not be HEable for any 120, 128 millimeter cannons. However, it will still be HEable for 150 millimeters. 130 millimeters is decent, but it's not going to get all too many bounces if you hit this bar here. The side armor is still incredibly weak, same for the turret, so it's still going to be quite easy to HE, but it's going to be a bit of an extra addition to the armor. Now, when we take a look at the VK7201K, the VK4502B, there's a lot of changes to the German tech tree, just the German rear-turreted ones, though vehicles like the VK72, VK45, VK4502A, and Tiger P. So let's talk about what these vehicles are getting changed to them. Well, they're getting tungsten shells, they're getting sandbag armor, and gunpowder, and that is going to make this vehicle very strong. What tank already has all of those attributes? Well, it would be this, the 60 TP. I'm already running, as you can see, gunpowder on the tank, and as well, I'm definitely running tungsten shells. Now, sandbag armor is going to be great as well, because it's going to bring the VK72, if you're running just enhanced sandbag armor, up to around 2,900 hit points, very similar to the E100. But as well, if you're running tungsten shells, the alpha on the VK72 gets increased by an average of 15%. What that means is if we pull up the calculator, we can just do, 640 and multiply that by 0.15, and we get 96 more damage a shot. So add that to 640, and that's right, 736 damage we are getting on average with a shell in the VK72. That is going to be very, very beefy, and it's going to make the 60 TP not even as scary anymore. So that's already great. And by the way, it's not just the standard shells that get that increase, it's also the HE. So if we do 960 multiplied by 1.15, that means that now the HE on this tank is going to have 1,104 average damage. If you get the opportunity to use HE and tungsten at the same time, I would highly highly suggest to use it, as that is some game-changing damage there. Yeah, VK72 is a tank that will be scaring me in the future. As well, that goes for the case of the VK45. It's also going to be getting tungsten all the way down to tier 7. So yeah, step aside, ladies, because this line, it's just got a whole lot beefier. So that's the VKs. I'm very excited for that. A little bit nervous because I think these are going to be a pain in the butt to deal with now, especially with how much HP they're going to have. But finally, let's take a look at the camouflage that are going to be added into the update. This is the Skoda camouflages that we can see here. Let me just zoom out a bit. I really like this camouflage. It's magma looking, fiery camo. It does have animations. You can see little sparks and flames coming off of it. This is for the Skoda T56. This camo looks absolutely amazing. Should be out in update 8.9. We take a look at the next one. This is obviously the Skoda camo, but we also have a 50 TP camo. I can zoom in on here. It looks okay, kind of like the Magnus down at tier 6, which is the M6 Battle Pass version. That's kind of what this looks like to me. It's I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it'll do the trick if you want a legendary camo on your 50 TP prototype. Moving on, we've got the Midas and the Scepter camouflage for the M3Yo. They look very, very nice. I don't know which one I actually like better, because the pink one looks amazing, but so does the blue one. I might just stick with the pink. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what camouflage you guys like better, because I am a 50-50 on the Midas and the Scepter camo, but all I know is that this is an event that will be coming out very shortly, and I'll be telling you guys if it's even worth it to try and get your hands on it, depending on how long it takes to grind. Finally, we have this, which is all of the tanks being added into the game files and other information about update 8.9. So the CS52 Lease is going to be a tier 7 premium tank, which will, I think, be an event. A lot of people think this is going to be the 8-year event for Blitz, so it's possible that is what the CS52 is going to be. Type 57 is going to be a tier 8 Japanese premium heavy tank. We've got the T54MS, which is a Titan T54, which is going to have moving armor. Now, the way to activate this armor is you have a little cooldown. So it's basically like tungsten shells, where you click it, and then you get like 15 seconds of tungsten. Well, that's the way this armor is going to work. When you click it, it's going to be like reactive armor. Your armor is going to go up, your side armor is going to go down, you're going to get extra turn armor, and as well, 10% of all the damage you receive is going to be taken away from you, which is nice. So that's all good, and it's going to last, I think, for like 15 seconds. That's the Titan T54. We already obviously know the Midas, the M3s. We got the Skoda camouflage. The T77, as I went over on a previous video, is going to be basically a T57 heavy brought down the tier 8. I'm very excited for that because I do love myself some deadly clippers. We have the Object 752. Some of you might not be aware of what this vehicle is. Basically, think of an M7, or not an M7, but just think of the Yo, the M6 Yo at tier 10 with the double shotgun, down at tier 9 with 2800 DPM. Sound busted? Yeah, it is. Be very wary, very, very wary of that tank. And then obviously we have the 50 TP legendary camouflage. So this is just a short video breaking into everything you're going to need to know about the update coming out in 8.9. Let me know what everybody thinks, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.